Let's go to Dave Sharma now, the Shadow Assistant Minister for Treasury. He joins me live from Sydney. Also former Australian Ambassador to Israel. And given your expertise in that area, Dave, I'm really keen to get your thoughts on what I think is a really sensible and constructive intervention by former Prime Minister Scott Morrison. What do you reckon?
Good afternoon, Chris, and good to join you. Look, I haven't read all of Scott Morrison's speech, so I've only just seen the media reports of it. But I haven't seen anything he said that I find objectionable. I mean, it's, I think, a matter of public record that the two Bondi terrorists, the father and son, were inspired by ISIS-like ideology, and that means that we need to be addressing the promotion and promulgation of ISIS-like ideology, which is clearly the cause of this attack, but has also been the cause of many attacks around the world now, going back at least a decade and a half.
I would have thought rather than rejecting Scott Morrison's suggestions, both the Imams Council and the federal government ought to say that in broad terms, this is a project we all need to embark on, that is getting rid of extremism, getting rid of this ideology. So let's sit down and talk about these ideas. It's not a prescription from Morrison. He's a former Prime Minister, for crying out loud. But let's talk about whether there's some seeds, some ideas here that could help.
Well, look, I remember, and you would recall this too from your time in government, Chris, but after the Bali terrorist attacks in 2002 and the September the 11th attacks, the Howard government at the time made quite a concerted effort to work closely with Australia's Muslim community and Muslim leadership to, one, reassure them, but two, make sure they had the tools they needed and the support they needed to keep an eye out for any radical elements in their midst. And to my mind, Scott Morrison's suggestion was very much of that flavour. I don't think it's about targeting or seeking to punish a particular community. It's working with a community of Australians to make sure that that they've got all the tools and the assistance they need to make sure that we protect the security of all Australians.
Spot on. Now let's turn the attention to your show. A sad gathering today in Melbourne with the funeral of Katie Allen. But with so many Liberal heavyweights in town, Angus Taylor and Andrew Hastie took the opportunity to meet with some of their senatorial colleagues. Is it just a matter of those two coming to an accommodation about who will challenge Susan Lee? Is that the only thing keeping her in the job at the moment?
No, I don't think so, Chris. Look, I was at Katie Allen's funeral today. I wasn't at any secret meetings or other meetings at the time, and I think I didn't discuss any of this with my colleagues. Now, maybe I'm unusual or the exception there, but Susan Lee remains the leader. She has the support of everyone who serves in the shadow ministry and the shadow outer ministry. I'm not aware of any leadership challenge. Yes, there's a lot of speculation, but at the moment, Susan Lee is our leader, and I think we all need to just get on board and support her. And I think, my frustration in all of this, and I'm sure it's shared by the public, is that there's too much focus on ourselves and not much focus on all the problems and challenges our country is facing under this Labor government.
Yeah, from that point of view, though, if there's going to be a change in leadership, if these ructions need to be put to bed, then the sooner the better, right?
Well, yes, I think we just need to get on and unite behind Susan and her leadership team and move forward. Now, if someone wants to make a challenge, of course, they're free to do so within the Liberal Party rules. But I think we need to be mindful that our job as an opposition here is not to, rotate chairs in the shadow cabinet or the shadow ministry. It's to hold the Labor government to account and to present a responsible and credible alternative government. Yeah,
pretty difficult, though. A lot of holes in that shadow cabinet at the moment because you've got 6 Nationals out of it, and you want to keep them open, really, because you want them to come back, and there's no sign of that. So we'll keep on those issues. But I want to get back to the economy because it's so important, and, of course, you are Shadow Assistant Minister for Treasury. Inflation not under control. Inflation's still going up. That's probably going to lead to an interest rate rise next week. This is the opposite to what Labor has promised they would deliver, yet Jim Chalmers continues to assert that it's not his runaway government spending that is a large part of the problem. How can the highest ever levels of government spending not be part of the problem?
Well, they are part of the problem, Chris. I mean, you've got inflation in Australia now, 3.8%, and it's rising. In the rest of the developed world, it's coming down. If you look at what's driving the rise in prices, it's entirely domestic factors. That is, it's homegrown inflation. And the largest single cause of that is a government that is spending the highest it's ever spent in 40 years outside of the pandemic, and a government that's spending taxpayer money at 4 times the rate it's collecting it. Now, that is creating inflationary pressures. Every economist says it. The RBA says it diplomatically. It's only Jim Chalmers that seems to be in denial about that.
And the other huge factor is electricity prices. And this is a policy area where they have direct responsibility and direct impact.
That's quite right. I mean, electricity prices, we were told, that the government provided at the cost of several $billion of taxpayers' money, electricity rebates over the course of the last year. We were assured that, once they came off, the electricity system would stabilise. We were also assured that they would not have anything but a temporary impact on inflation, and inflation was coming down. That is not the case, clearly. Electricity prices, housing, but also food and clothing and services, the cost of services, that's what's driving inflation. You've got, too much government money chasing a limited or finite supply of goods and capital and labour. Inflation is the result. That's just basic macroeconomics.
Thanks for joining us, Dave. I appreciate it.